longtime member of the Milk Club, and she's going to talk to us.
So I know most of the folks here, and just a little bit of my milk history. Started the first cannabis caucus. Not active in the cannabis caucus right now. Hopefully we'll get that back up and going for the years to come. And way back when I first joined the Milk Club, we were starting to work on the Medical Cannabis Act. And one of the things that the Milk Club really helped us with was compassionate care, getting across the needs of low-income patients, and we're hoping that once again the Milk Club will back us in the understanding of the needs of low-income patients in the city. Just to show of hands, how many folks are medical cannabis patients here tonight? All right. So how many folks can afford medical cannabis at the dispensary system that's set up currently? All right, no show of hands. So obviously you can see why we are back at the Milk Club. On average, the pricing at clubs is still what we would consider street pricing, where you're paying anywhere from $45 to $60 for an eighth of medical cannabis. Most patients that are seriously ill, it takes at least a gram a day. So if you consider an eighth is about 3.5 grams, so that would be about $50 for 3 days. So at the end of the week, you're looking at a price tag of $150 when you're receiving any type of government compensation. After patients pay their rent, take care of their bills, they have about $14 left to their name. And we're a little bit concerned with that $14 going into the medical cannabis distribution system. And one thing low-income patients and actually a lot of disabled folks in general are facing this year is that they're going to take yet another, I believe it is 25, am I correct?
Dollars.
15.
Anywhere between $7 and $25.
Okay, so people are going to be set back even further. And luckily we have a compassionate supervisor on the board, Supervisor Campos, who's been listening to the Patient Advocacy Committee, to the Medical Cannabis Task Force, in regards to what can we do to get the medicine to the patients that need it the most, who most of the voters in California voted for the Compassionate Use Act because they assumed that the compassion would get to the folks that needed it. And I don't think it's wrong that we have a thriving medical cannabis industry for the patient consumer in California and other states. I think that's great. That's necessary. But we need a balance. We need to make sure that we take care of the folks that need the medicine the most. So the Patient Advocacy Committee came up with a proposal for what's called a CCF. Right now we call the medical cannabis businesses MCBs. We're really fond of acronyms in the cannabis community. So this is going to be a caregiver collective facility, or there's some debate if it's going to be compassionate collective facility. And these will be facilities where patients who cannot afford their medicine and need further assistance with housing, with nutritional support, breaking isolation that a lot of us experience if we're living in the Tenderloin, sitting in one room in front of a television, not too much fun. So, and I'm just going to go over a little bit of the proposal, and I'll leave some here for folks to look at. But basically what we're looking at is a no exchange of funds community center for the patients that need the medicine the most. A few things that we've considered is that these will be members that will be verified as low-income, disabled, elder, or veteran. We want to make sure that there aren't patient abuses in place, so we put a lot in here to make sure that the medicine is getting to the people that need it. One thing that we want to do is we want to cap each center at 200 patients, so that we don't want to have a situation where people, for example, Dennis Perrone said, hey, I'm a caregiver of thousands and thousands and thousands upon thousands of people, which is pretty hard to hold up in a court of law. And so one way that a person approached it that I thought made the most sense is sort of what we see in the public school system, or hope to see in the public school system, where there's some type of teacher-to-patient ratio, so that there's not one person responsible for hundreds of patients. We also want to make sure that and one of the examples that we gave to clarify sort of the differences between the more consumer patient model and the compassionate patient model was Walgreens to needle exchange. It's a very different reality, and I thought that was a very solid comparison. We want to be able to have compassionate care on a daily basis in these facilities, so that if you're a member, you can get your gram and your brownie for free. You can attend any variety of peer support groups, and it's sort of modeled after Access of Love Community Center, but it really can be creatively inputted into any group's interest. So it's not just about what we've done. We're hoping, people often criticize Access of Love, and my response is, great, fantastic, create your own. I can't be the only person out here doing this, And so the need for the compassion on a daily basis, it's just like any other medicine. You need it on a daily basis to survive. It's also, we've realized in Access of Love, it's a real good way to keep track of some of our elders. If somebody doesn't show up for a week, we know where they live, where to go and do a wellness check, to see if they're okay, to see if there's food in their fridge, to see if anybody's checked in on them. And if that means that they just need someone to sit with them for, 20 minutes, help roll their medicine, whatever. And the different model of giving that kind of avoids some of, I don't know if people read the article recently, but the State Board of Equalization does tax the dispensaries if they give the medicine out for free. It's not a lofty tax at all, but in order to make sure that the medicine's getting to the patients, we came up with a term with the State Board of Equalization called Garden Direct Giving. So the cultivator members of the CCFs would be bringing their medicine directly to the patients to put in a community chest. Because if you sign up with a cultivator and you have to wait for 3 to 4 months to get your share of that garden, what are you supposed to be doing for those 3 to 4 months while you're waiting for your harvest to come in? So one of the ways Access of Love has solved that successfully is having the group of cultivators put into a community chest so that everyone can receive every day from the gardens and have a collective, sort of a over-collective. And one of the reasons why this came about, and one of the main concerns, is our current definition defines medical cannabis dispensary not as, a medical cannabis nonprofit business, but any 9 people sharing medicine collectively. So if 9 of us, is there 9 patients here? All right, we've got a couple dispensaries in the room. You guys all need to go and register. It's really not an effective definition, but way back when we were creating the definition, we were still in the Bush era, right? So to say that it's more of a not-for-profit pharmacy really wasn't available to us. And the 9 or more kind of works for people that are able to afford their medicine. And so instead of going in and changing the definition of what an MCD is, we've kind of all come to the point where we just want to extend the definition to what a CCF is. And I'm here today at the Milk Club to just kind of give you guys information about it, let you know that we already have several supervisors on board to support and get this through. But we love feedback. We'd like everybody to be a part of this process of getting the medicine to the folks that really need it. And I'd be happy to take any questions. Seeing no questions. Oh, we got a question. Yay. Yes?
What did you do to start a community access to that? What kind of procedures did you go through in order if someone else wanted to do what you're doing? How would they go about doing it?
Well, if they had 9 or more patients, they would have to enter a very costly process of actually registering as a medical cannabis business. The entrance fee is $8,000. Then you have all the hidden costs, etc. So most of the people that I know that have opened medical cannabis dispensaries for their registry have probably put in a good $20,000 to $50,000 to open their doors. Wow. So that's really not accessible to low-income people organizing together. So basically what we're doing with this, to answer your question, is create a door so that people can enter as a CCF. And we are creating a criteria for fee waiver or a sliding scale fee that would be appropriate to it. I've had a meeting already with Dr. Bhatia from, we have a petition that Stephanie, who can't speak, will put her out. We had a meeting with Dr. Bhatia, the head of health, and Supervisor Campos. And they shook hands, they're on it. We're probably going to have this definition available at some point in late July, early August, because I guess the supervisors only get a certain amount of hours with the city attorneys, which seems crazy, you know, that you only get your city attorney for so often, but that's true. And I'll pass around, and again, this is a draft of what we're looking at doing. And then you, sir, had a question?
I was curious how marijuana would take marijuana back as a medication instead of something illegal. It can be prescribed and quality program. Are we going anywhere with that?
I know that I believe it was Representative Barney Frank and Ron Paul entered something in Congress recently to end prohibition. We always hope it's closer than the reality probably is. The truth of the matter is that I believe we have 16 states, which would be nearly, almost 30 senators. And we still had the confirmation of the old acting head of the DEA, Michelle Lionheart, who's no friend of medical cannabis. As a matter of fact, she doesn't even want elders to have the correct care. So I think we're still a little bit further away, but one of the things that patient advocates are continually working on is looking at what about state programs like Medi-Cal, etc. Why aren't they helping get medicine to folks? Because if you're looking at a medicine bill as a disabled American of nearly $400 to $500 a month for your medical cannabis, which helps many people take their other prescribed Western medicine and be able to have the appetite to deal with that. I mean, this isn't a luxury, this is life-saving medicine. And I always bring it back to the Harvey Milk Club because Harvey Milk was one of the first people that went door to door regarding medical cannabis and really put the energy out there for cannabis decriminalization, which I think is a little bit more important than legalization.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the question. Any other questions? Oh, absolutely not. You know, when you see those commercials and that mumbled voice says, and you may, if you have depression, you also we'll give you this medicine for depression, but it will make you sick and vomit, and, your liver and your kidney might be depleted, and, if you have social anxiety, but this may give you uncontrollable diarrhea. No, there's, the only side effects for medical cannabis is perhaps wanting to eat a little bit more, perhaps enjoying others' company a little bit more. You sleep better. I think the toxicity levels are really different, but at the same time, cannabis is not a cure-all. People need to take Western medicines for serious illnesses as well. So I'm sure there's many more speakers, so I want to just wrap up for a minute, and I just want to thank the Milk Club for continuing to support compassionate care. Thank you.
Thank you.